Hello, everyone, and welcome to Santa Talk. I appreciate you guys being here so much and spending an hour of your Saturday with us today. It means so much. I'm so excited to have our guest on today. And guys, if you've been tuning in the last few Saturdays, we've been doing a series on beard care. It is by far the number one question I get asked, even on a Santa show. Hey, how do I take better care of my beard? Well, today, I figured instead of I was thinking about a way of doing a bleaching series or a show, and I'm not a big, and I know people bleach, and I'm not getting down on you, and I know that there's uh, people out there that are going to do it anyway, right? So I was thinking, well, what about an opportunity, an alternative opportunity, and that's what our guest is going to be kind of talking about today. He just I'm so excited. He's retired law enforcement, been a Santa for over 40 years. It's somebody I look up to, Mr. Thomas Sheerin, Santa Thomas Sheerin. And I'll introduce him in a minute. But before we get started, I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. And we got about 20 people in here right now. So we will wait for some more folks to come in while I say hello. Chris Ughu was here at 9:30 a.m. One day. I don't know if it was today, but he was here at 9:30. Hello, Chris. Thank you so much for being here. Santa's Restoration Workshop. Hello, hello. How are you? So good to see you. Santa Alan Claw. Appreciate you being here so much. I was really thinking about you a lot, talking with Thomas, Santa Thomas behind stage, man. I'll talk to you later more about it. I think that this is something that you're really going to enjoy. I hope everybody enjoys it, but Bill Coates, how you doing? It's so good to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. Santa Bubba, how you doing? Looking dapper as usual. Love that Santa outfit. All right. Let's see. Okay, Kobe Wiggle, how you doing? Yeah, the music rock. It's so good to have you here. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Baker, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you so much, sir. Kenny, Kenneth, thank you so much for being here. Kay Houston, appreciate you so much. And Coffee with Brewer, Mike, thank you so much for coming and thank you for the support. Appreciate everybody in the bearded community coming in and supporting the Santa channel. Thank you so much. Small Batch Beard Co. Appreciate you being here. And for those of you Santas that are new here and people, this may be your first time, we do have a lot of uh, beard product company owners in here. So if you have any questions, not just with our guests, but with them, also reach out any beard related questions. William, how you doing, brother? So good to have you here, Santa William. We do go Wednesday. Yeah, thank you so much, man. All right, who else we got here? Everybody's talking, chatting up. I love it, guys. I think we're caught up, guys, with everybody in the chat. More people will come in. But appreciate you guys so much. Again, guys, we've been doing the series on beard health, beard care, right? Santas and beard care. Again, it's the number one question I get asked. I am fascinated, guys. I can't tell you. Those of you with beards and maybe a fuller, longer mustache understand. I was telling Santa Thomas behind the stage, behind the scenes, that I have thought several times of shaving this mustache off just so I could eat a barbecue sandwich and not get it everywhere, right? And there is an alternative that he's going to be sharing with us. So, guys, I hope you enjoy the show. But without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring Santa Thomas Sheerin in. And again, I'm going to let him introduce himself and talk about himself, and the show's going to be his. But I've been following him along with many other Santas for the last 5 years, on the Worldwide Santa Claus Network and their own channels. And I also put a link in the description below for those of you that are watching this afterwards. I put a link in the description to the video of Santa Thomas showing you how to apply the ZM real hair. Designer beard and the removal and all of that. So make sure, because I'm sure we won't have enough time to get into all of that today, but make sure you check that video out. And I also put a link in the description to ZM Hair. So if you're interested in looking to find out more information, I'm sure they wouldn't mind you reaching out to them. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. Please help me welcome Santa Thomas Sheerin. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon. As you can tell, Well, first time I started to go a little bit of beard, and people recognized. They said, "You look a little like Edmund Gwynn." So I got the hat. You know, if you see the beginning of the movie there, where he's walking down the street, he's wearing a
Right?
hat like that,
I
and
love it.
he's short like me. He's like just about 5'7", and anyway, I was someone that um always had a designer beard of sorts over the years. Um, COVID came along and I stopped shaving, and then this arrived, and this was the color it is. So I've been Santa for over 40 years. My father and uncle were when I grew up. They were both much bigger men than me. My father probably weighed 250 or better, and my uncle 275, and me I tip in at about 150. So I'm a padded Santa.
Right.
But I've been doing it for over 40 years, and I've been helping other Santas with their appearance. And I was in law enforcement, so we couldn't have a beard. I,
Right.
I could have a mustache. It couldn't be any longer than that because we had gas masks and we get fit tested for them. And so you had to be kind of clean shaven. You had to have short hair. So the first beards that came out, they were caniculon. They weren't bad, the old ones. And yak was the standard. Disappeared. Yak disappeared around the late 70s, 1980s when they came out with caniculon, and it was a nice thing. They used to make ladies' wigs out of it. It wasn't bad. Not great, but it wasn't bad. And then caniculon sort of disappeared, and I don't know why. I have never been able to track it down. I suspect either it was dangerous in its manufacturer, or it didn't meet the NFPA standards for being flame resistant. But
Mm,
caniculon, as they had it, disappeared. And then this crap came out. We've all seen these, right? You
right.
know, Santas with these on. It's a strap with a glorified mop attached to it, and the back of it is backed. In other words, it's got a bib, and they sew little this plastic hair in rows on it, and then they put this mustache on that you either eat it, you can't see your face or anything. So I started a while back in the '80s. I started looking for something better. I was buying yak beards, and they all had attached mustaches. You know what I mean? By yeah, there was a wire and some cloth, and then they put this on, and it's in your mouth the whole time. You can't really talk. You certainly couldn't eat with it. So I
Yeah.
started cutting the mustaches off, and this is before the internet. I'm going, what am I gonna do for a mustache? You know, I mean, so there's a company called Ruby's. You've probably seen the ad. They make Santa suits and everything. They used to have Ruby's Santa eyebrows, and unless you were a giant, you'd never have eyebrows. They're huge, huge. And I looked at them and I said, you know what? I can trim them down, sew them together, and I can make a mustache. And that's what I did for the first few years. I used the Ruby's eyebrows and made a mustache. Then the internet arrived, and I said, lo and behold, they have everything. So I started out with different yak beards. There was still some around. I started haunting um, places that sold Santa suits and stuff. And yak beards were kind of scarce in the '80s because they'd been replaced by these plastic things,
Right.
and people had them, and a lot of them were willing to get rid of them rather cheaply because yak beards yellow over time
Okay.
if they're not kept out of the sunlight. If they leave them in plastic bags, which is terrible to do, but if you leave them sealed up in a plastic bag, they yellow. They just they as yellow as a duck's foot. And I found a couple that places had. They had no idea, and I knew I could fix them. So I got a couple really rather cheap when we started out, and I said, you know, we just got this stuff, the purple shampoo,
Right.
and I was able to bring a lot of these back. And by the way, if you are a, um, a owner of an old yak set and you now have grown out natural, don't throw it away. You can start some new Santa out who's starting out, or somebody who's a firefighter, or in law enforcement, or is in some capacity can't not allowed to grow a beard. those can be worked on. If you got something that's old and yellow, let me know. I can probably fix it.
Wow.
I don't think there's anything that's either been made or currently made that I haven't had my hands on in some form. I do a lot of them all year long. You can see my friend here's over my shoulders, another one over here. But yak beards are easily fixed. I fixed a real old one that was for it's going to go on a mannequin they're going to make of Charles W. Howard, and I got one of the originals. They were huge, huge yak beards, and they were made by Zotter Brothers. Zotter Brothers was in New York. The original maker of it was Zotter Brothers. They were the ones that everyone you saw in a department store Santa.
Right.
They all had the same suit, which was made by Santa Claus Equipment Company. The suit had real fur. Um, if you see the movie The Christmas Story,
Hmm.
there's one right there, and that was one of the Mrs. Babcock actually was the woman that um, sold the Howard suit, they call it the Charles W. Howard suit, real popular. I grew up in the 50s. You saw it a lot in the 50s. Um, However, in before the internet, when you wanted to get your whole outfit, the only place you could really find a Santa suit was either a tuxedo shop. They sometimes would rent them. The other place was a place that sold masks and Halloween stuff. You could buy and they were corduroy. Most of them were corduroy. If you didn't buy the expensive, that was like 150 bucks, it would be velvet. But other than that, they were corduroy with the puffy fake fur. And the only
Right.
other place you get it, my father and my uncle, Sears Christmas catalog. They sold they sold good, better, and best. The best was the velvet suits. So
Right.
it was the Sears catalog where you got your outfits. They also had beards there. And how I started is my father got this nice suit from Sears, and I looked at the beard, and it was better than it was better than this one. It wasn't back, but it was this better material, but this kind of beard, and it was a mess. It was Shirley Temple curls. I went, oh. So I was young. I was probably in my late teens, and I said to my father, "That looks terrible. We got to do something with that." And I took the beard and wig, and I took the hood off of my down coat, and I stuck it over in a towel and stuck it over my four-poster bed because they didn't have mannequin heads. We didn't have mannequin heads, so I put it on there and I went to work on it. And I trimmed it and hair dried it and everything, and it looked decent when they were done. So I was always on a search for really nice stuff.
Right.
So I found the old thing, and then I came across where you could get human hair beards custom made, and
Right.
that's a custom wig, and they're in Louisville, Kentucky. They're a little on the expensive side, but they will make you a set that if you lost your beard or had to shave and you wanted to look and it was growing, they could, and it's human hair, they make the whole thing. A little more money. And then I was searching the internet. I'm always searching the internet for stuff. All retired guys, we spend a lot of time searching the internet. So I found this DM hair. And I went, oh, China, I don't know if I'll do business with them. And so I saw a set, and let me tell you something. Anything you see as far as uh, uh, artificial beards, they're not designer beards until they're on lace. But if you see artificial beards with all the Santa suit companies, they're crap. Okay, they
Right.
really are. They're like that thing I just showed you. So I saw this really nice. I said, I don't know. So I contacted them. I said, do you take PayPal? Because I wasn't giving them a MasterCard. No way.
Right.
So she said, yeah. And I bought one, and I got it, and I went, holy shit, this is almost as good because I had two sets done by Custom Wig, but I was always in the market for something different. So I found that, and I looked at, and then Phil Wentz. Most people probably heard of Phil Wentz. I showed it to Phil Wentz. He goes, "Where the hell did that come from?" Because he was always buying, just like me. And he said, "Can you get any more of them?" I said, "Sure." So we started a relationship. And this is probably, I don't know, 9 or 10 years ago with ZM. And I started making suggestions. I'd say, well, they're a little thin, so you need to put backing on them. And you use weft hair, this thing called weft hair, which is hair that's it's on like a string. and the hair is tied on. So they put a little weft hair underneath it, under beard. I said, you need to build them up. I said, you need to do this. You need to lower and they have been wonderful about, when I give them a suggestion of what they should do, they have done it. So I've worked a lot with them, and it's good. But if for people who can't grow a good beard, now I have a mediocre beard, but I mean, there's some people have really good beards. But I can make my own beard. This is a ZM. This is ZM beard. This is one of the ones that's kind of curly, almost natural. But when I want to make my beard look a little better, I go like this, and then now I have that beard on, and then I take with my magical combs, and all of a sudden now I had sort of a small beard. Now it changed the look entirely.
Right.
And you can do it, that can be done. So even if you grew a beard, it's good to have this because this is naturally growing out. But you can see in a second. Now if I was going to do this, I would put adhesive in here and
Sure.
glue that on nice. But you see the change it makes in a minute.
Really
And
does.
if some kid says, "Let me pull your beard," your real beard, then they go pull it. I mean, this is on it, but go ahead and pull it. And it certainly doesn't say when you used to go into the mall and see this, the guy in there with this thing on, right? And then you also have the ability, if like when I go to my niece and nephew and do Santa at their things, and I don't want to be recognized. So then again, I'll come in and at that point, I will take a large mustache and glue it on. Now I look even more different. Then if I put eyebrows on, there's no way to recognize me. But there's all kinds of, and ZM makes all kinds of beards like this. This is a friend of mine just made this for me. This is a pretty good stand he made for me. The little Santa stand, clever, and it's a candle holder that he adapted to hold the hand.
Hobby.
But if you look at the hairlines on these things. Even if a lot of guys don't have, I don't have that great hair, but I mean, even if guys need things, the wigs that are best for this kind of stuff is the custom wig, because they're human hair and they can kind of match it up. But even ZM, if you get a custom thing, they can make a wig and they can add a little gray to it, because none of us are pure white like this fellow is. But you can do that's a whole set. I mean, even if you you don't have enough for you want a big drop mustache and you can't really grow one, you can put one of these on, a drop mustache, and you put that on, and they have all different kinds. And the thing about those, you can cut and trim them. Now, there's another thing too that if you have more of a straight hair, I got to step up for this one. This is a human hair wig. This is made by John Blake Wigs. These are a little expensive. They're probably close to $1,000, but that's a human hair wig, and you can tell the difference between that. Yak is a bovine animal, and human hair is human hair. Maybe I can get it on low, making too much problem. But when when I be doing this, and I'm doing it, but if you don't have any hair and you want to think this is human hair, yeah. But I mean, this is John. Of course, then like human hair. This is, I just pulled it up the thing, but you can do anything with it. You can fluff it up. You can comb it any different way. But that's a human hair wig. But that's John Blake. And then the other thing, if you can actually, and I do it too, is you add that other beard I put on was a short one, but if I wanted a longer one, using my own beard underneath, and this is longer, so I would have to, at this point, I would be combing that in, and this one's already been, because I've used this before. Now, what I would do at that point, I'm not going to do it now, but you take the punky white,
right,
and you punky white your beard where the two match up, But if you did have to shave, or you look, I got a pin sticking out of the side of my head. Very good. If you did have to shave and you ran into a problem, there's a solution for you. There are several guys have called me over there because I'm on a lot of Santa sites, and they said, "Geez, I tried bleaching myself, and I woke up this morning and my pillow, and there was no hair on one side of my face. What am I going to do?" Well, I usually keep a couple of the beards around, for emergencies. So if somebody, because I do a whole thing down at the Northeast Santas, and I buy a ton of stuff. I always keep a couple of beards around, beards only, because they're lace, and you can either put them on with a strap, or as you can see, they're on lace. You glue that edge on, and if you don't like
Right.
glue, there's a thing called Walker No Shine tape, and you can put a piece here, and you put a piece here, and you put a piece here. Trick is you clean your face with alcohol first, get all the oil, and don't drink beer the night before. If you're gonna glue anything on, don't drink beer because I've never met a Santa that didn't sit in a chair and sweat.
Right. Right.
As soon as you put on one of these red hats, right? You're sweating.
Right.
I don't care. You lose so much body heat comes out through the top. And if you're a designer guy and you're wearing a wig, even though they're on mesh, you still that heat's still trying to go somewhere. You end up sweating. And
Right.
me, I wear a fat suit with an ice suit underneath, a cool vest under it, because
Right.
I have to build up my 150-pound frame to 250 like my father. And I never saw the movie Mrs. Doubtfire where he
Right.
steps into the thing. I have one of those. It's the arms and the thing. I even have, if I'm gonna be outside, I even have a pair of gym shorts with legs to fill me out. All of a sudden, I go from a skinny guy to a nice rotund Santa looking guy. But
Right.
if you have anything, uh, this stuff is great. If this stuff is great, okay.
Yes. 100%.
Whether you have real beard, if you're putting on a designer beard, you want to match it, anything, you want to do it in your own hair, you just want to wear the beard, not a wig. Uh, Great stuff. Punky white. Um, I've
I
tried them all.
I use
There's
it.
another one,
Mm.
streaks and things, no good. And then this one here is made by Red by Kiss. I've tried these. They don't work as well. I have not find it. If I ever find anything better, I will let you know. But this stuff is excellent.
Yeah.
Quick, if you want to wear a designer beard and you want to use your own mustache, you get yourself some Sally's. These are these little eyebrow things, right? And you take them and you spray a little of that on there, and then you go like this and you start, oh,
There you
oh,
go.
oh. And then you have to go in and I'm doing it through the camera. I usually do it in
Right.
a makeup mirror, and then you're whitening your eyebrows and you're making them, you're really getting them up there. Because if you don't want to wear applied, the trick is after that, after you do that, you get yourself a Q-tip and you go back and you take anything that you've overdone off, and it's hard for me to see just looking. But that's, all of a sudden you have eyebrows. You can do the same thing with the mustache. You can brush your mustache up, make it whiter. There is another product that I use, and it's um, Proface, and he passed away, and another fellow was taken off, so the company still exists. But this is great stuff. You can whiten up your mustache if you need to,
Oh,
and then you
wow.
can wear that with a designer beard if you got the goods.
Right.
Now, there's another thing that I do. I do a lot of you know, like replacement. Okay, so if say for instance you grow a beard and like you're missing a whole piece in here or over here, you can get Zia makes these they make a whole thing you can cut and paste it to whatever you need for um wherever you're missing something. Now a lot of real bearded guys say to me, gee, I don't have any hair under my lip. Well, then you take one of these and you glue that on. This is reusable. You glue that on, and this is a little whiter than my beard. But again, You can punky white this to make it just disappear. But if you are lacking right here under here, and you want to for photo shoots fix that up. The other thing is, I don't have one side. I'm pretty low on it. You can put a piece in like this, and fill out your beard. But the other way that I do most of the time is I get loose hair like this. You get the loose hair. You take and you pull out a little piece of it, and then you excuse me, I'm not that well greatly organized here.
You're fine.
You get a scissors. I had the barber scissors here somewhere, but you get the scissors and you take and then you cut so you have a little bit like that, and then you get a straight piece. And what happens? You lay in your spirit gum in there, and then you lay it in like that, and you let it dry. You pull with it, and you go all the way down like this, and it fills in. If you have a missing spot, like I don't have a lot on one side right here, I
Right.
will go all the way down there with that, and it will look like when you're done, it look like it's growing. All you need is,
Wow.
a brush with a little spirit gum, and again, alcohol first. No, no, no alcohol in you, because as you sweat, the alcohol will kill anything that's an adhesive. But dry face, put it in, lay the hair in, you lay it in, and what I usually do is I take like the back of the comb, I put it in, and I put a piece in, and I put a little spirit gum, and then I lay it in, and you lay it in like this. On a video I'll show it that I have but you lay, and you never know that's not growing. And ZM
Wow.
sells this stuff too. And then you can cut and trim it, and if it's too much, you pull it off. But when you're done, you just take alcohol and wipe it off. But you can use it here too. If you got some gaps, you can put that in there, and it for the photograph, because that's the thing you're trying to make a nice impression. But you can fill in anything. So you can buy mustaches. You can buy, some people like, they don't have enough eyebrows. You can go in with an eyebrow, and glue one of those in. What I use on something like that is I will cut a strip of this Walker's tape, and it's what's nice about this. It's good tape. Um, it's got the name on one side. That's the side that goes against you,
Right.
and then it has a split part. But I cut it thin, and when I'm doing a mustache, I'll do the same thing because I wear them right over my own mustache, and people say, oh, the same thing they'll say about, oh, if I'm going to glue on anything, put on uh, anything like I have to glue on, I have to be clean shaven. No, you don't. And they'll say, oh, no, you don't have to shave off anything. You might have to shave back a little so that you could have something to stick to here. But the thing I always say is you take a piece of Scotch tape, for instance, and put it in the palm of your hand. Okay, comes right off. Now, put that same Scotch tape on the hair on your arm. Try to pull it off. Yeah, yeah, you're surprised, right? It doesn't come off because same thing. So if you're putting a piece of tape here on your own mustache, that's anchored. So you're taping to that. On bare skin, it's going to come off quicker. But you need to sort of test it if you're going to wear a mustache because there's all kinds of mustaches, and the mustaches that are lace back, like I had, all the stuff is lace. All of the stuff is on lace. They do
Wow.
make a theater lace more expensive, way more delicate. If it's some, now I've used it, uh, but I've been working with this stuff for years. But
Right.
I always say to someone starting out, if you're going to buy a designer beard, don't go with the theater lace. It's more money. It looks better, but it tears a lot easier. And if you're not familiar with it, you can destroy something. Just a little aside. I had a fellow bought a very, very nice set from ZM, and it was a straight set, and I fixed it for him. He sent me a picture of what he wanted me to look like, so I curled it in the whole business. And I said to him, now, whatever you use, don't use the Walker adhesive. It's made for putting on toupees. Don't use it because if you could use it, but unless you're someone that's familiar with it, you're asking for. So I did that. He put it on. He looked beautiful. Sent me a picture. I was very proud of myself what I did. And then he calls me and he said, "Hey, Tom, I got a problem. I can't seem to get the adhesive off the beard." I said, "What?" I said, "Are you using the 91% alcohol? Because you only got to soak them in the. You get a little pie plate and you soak just the edges when you clean them, you know." And I said, "Did you get the? Did you do that? Did you get the shoe daubers that I use? You know, and you soak them. You clean the. If this was a beard, you'd be soaking this in alcohol and then cleaning any adhesive off. With the tape, it's real easy. You spray alcohol and it comes right off. But
Hmm.
with adhesive, any kind of adhesive, whether using spirit gum, or I like this stuff. It's called Mastix P, but it needs its own remover, which has acetone in it. Don't ever put acetone on your face. I learned that lesson a long time ago. Unless you want to have this giant red where the beard was, acetone doesn't go good with skin. But it's very good for removing certain types of adhesives. So anyway, the guy said, "No, I can't get it." I said, "Well, send it to me. Drop it in over a minute." So I get the thing back, right? And I get it back, and it's like this, like this. I could knock on the wood; it was solid. I said, "What the hell did you put on there?" He said, "Well, I saw you use the Walker tape." I said, "What did I tell you not to use?" I said, "Don't use their adhesive." "Well," I said, "they said it lasts for hours." I said, "It's to glue on a toupee that you can swim with. You put that crap on, you wear it for a week. You wear it for a week. You don't put it on and pull it off in an hour." And for heaven's sakes, what he did, he took it and he took it off, and instead of laying it out like if I was going to have this on, I would take this and I would lay the lace edge face down into alcohol. Instead, he did this with it. He laid it down like this. Now everything's glued together. I had a watermelon rind. That's what I had. I even boiled the goddamn thing. I couldn't get it. I couldn't fix it. So $600 went right down the drain because he didn't listen. Yes,
Oh,
there are adhesives that they'll like iron. But if you're wearing a toupee and you don't want it to blow off in the wind and you want to jump in the pool with it, yeah, you can use those. They work. But they're not for putting on for a couple hours and then taking them off and then leaving them on, you know. But I tried it. The only thing I didn't do is set it on fire. But because I really worked hard on this thing, it was ruined. But it was a $600 lesson for this guy.
wow.
So I mean, the stuff, an average set like this is probably 550 bucks, maybe. But I mean, they have good. I mean, they have very good hairline. They have very good hairlines, you know. I mean, and even the wigs, very good hairlines,
Wow.
And you have to trim but lace is the way to go if you can't grow your own. And if you can grow your own, and as I said, and if you're missing pieces, there's ways around it. Now, I showed you that human hair wig a minute ago. That same company is called John Blake Wigs. They make a lot of stuff for Hollywood. They're a little pricey, but they also make sideburns, human hair. But these things, unlike the loose hair that I showed you, the loose hair that you can put in, these are reusable. You take these, you drop them in a pie plate with alcohol, and you get all the stuff up, and you use them. You can comb them out, use them again. And if you want them to perfectly match what you're doing, you can also add your punky white spray. And I always find that the punky white on a toothbrush is better than just spraying it. And use the eyebrow brush when you're doing the eyebrows.
Right.
But you can just add that. You can add that now. Now I'm setting back. That's not in it. But you see how that it changed the dynamic of what my beard looks like.
Right.
You know. But the same thing would be if I didn't have anything here, I could do the same thing with that. But these things are available. And if you're looking for that real good look, um, whether using designer beards or using real beards, there are designer accoutrements that can help, you know. And as I said, I've been doing this for over 40 years. One thing I did find, which I like to use makeup. I don't know how many people do, but I use this stuff. And same fellow, I can't think of his name. I'm terrible. You get over 70, you can't remember names, but it's him on the cover. He put this kit together. Excellent, excellent. But there's one thing that you got to use in the kit is a spray. Let's see if I still have it, and I don't have it in this because I've been using it. But it's a clear spray that once you put the makeup on, you put. Do I have it here? Yeah, here it is. It's called barrier spray, and don't spray it in your eyes, or you learn to break dance in about 2 seconds. So I put a set of sharp goggles on, and I put the makeup on, and maybe less is more. But once you have all this white and you're pale like me, I always use the makeup, a tiny bit of blush in here, a tiny bit here, and then I spray the whole thing of the goggles on, and I usually use the hair dryer and get it dry quick. But I'll tell you, if you don't and you use makeup, I've never seen a Santa in all the years I've been doing it that somewhere along, especially if you have a beard that's attached to you somehow, it's not growing, you're gonna touch it, or you're
Right.
gonna touch your face. You're gonna go like this, and guess where the now it's on your gloves, and then your sweat, it's on your hat, it may be on your sleeve fur. So if you're going to use makeup, whatever you use, even always use one of these sealer sprays. Otherwise, that makeup's going to be on everything. And that's harder to get out of more. I mean, even design, that's hard to get out of designer beards. You start dying the crap. And the other thing I use on designer beards, when they get a little yellow, I use shimmer lights, which you can use on your own beard. Says you can put it in 2 to 5 minutes. Don't, don't. When I'm doing these designer beards, what I'll do is I have them in a deep sink. I have a white basin that goes in the thing, and I make a nice purple solution. I dip them in, dip them out. You never swish artificial beard. You never take an artificial beard if you're cleaning it and go like this, because it'll be one tangle mess. So you dip it in and dip it out of the sink, and you shake it out and rinse it. And my thing is, I take it, and when it's rinsed out, and I take it and I go outside in the daylight, take a look at it. Does it look okay? Is it white enough? It's not. I repeat the process, short periods of time, not leaving it in longer. You leave it in longer, I get the calls all the time. Hey, I tried that purple shampoo. God, it's Easter egg purple. I can't get the color out of it. And the same thing will happen to your beard if you use your real beard. There used to be a thing I'm saying how old I am. It is you'd go to church and they'd say, "Geez, I sat behind a row of blue-haired little old ladies." Do you know why they had blue hair in the little old ladies? Because they used a purple shampoo and and then in the shower they left it in too long, or they didn't rinse it out enough. And when they get even though it didn't look blue when they looked in the bathroom mirror, when they got out in the daylight, the church light, they had blue hair. So
Right.
that's a thing you got to be. So if you ever using this stuff, use it sparingly, but don't go to 5 minutes. You're asking for it. But if
Right.
you do, Dawn dishwashing detergent will take the purple out,
Take it out.
but it will it'll turn your beard into straw. You better get
Strip
something
it.
in there,
Yeah.
something in there to condition it back again.
Right.
And one
We
other
do have
thing
a
that I just want to say, one other thing, that
sure.
product that I have found, I've been using it for now a year and a half, and it's called Caracolor Platinum, and it's a purple shampoo, but it adds a little whitening product in it. It's also has a conditioner in it, but for kind of daily use, this isn't bad at all. It's gentle. It doesn't turn your beard purple. It doesn't strip. It doesn't make it. It conditions it, and it adds a little bit of brightness to it. So, rather than just the old, it's called Caracolor. You can get it through Sally's Platinum, and I've been trying this now for. I use it. I use it every other day, and it takes sort of the yellowish grayness out in my own hair. I use it on that, on that. But if anybody's got questions about adding hair, um, uh, adding pieces, or getting designer sets, you can get in touch with me. There isn't much I haven't touched. As I said, everything that anybody's wearing right now, I've had either here to clean and restyle, or I've had one myself. I would buy stuff. I see something that looks good, and I say, I'm going to try this, and I'll buy it, and then I will sell it or pass it on to someone else after I've had a chance to play with it.
Right.
But I've been doing that a long time.
Well,
Be
we do
very
have a couple
careful.
comments and questions actually. Uh,
Yeah.
Coffee with Brewer, Mike Brewer is real big in the bearded community. He says, I may have missed it, but I know a guy, Ron Wolak, that
Ron,
makes Santa beard.
I helped. I was when he did his book. I consulted him a little on the book. He's a makeup artist, and he put me in there as one of the in the footnotes. He spelt my name wrong, but I did consult him. Phil Wentz, who's very well known as a designer bearded Santa. I had been doing he just recently retired from Santa's Village after 30 some odd years. I had been doing his beards, all his beards, cutting them and cleaning them and styling them for a long, long time.
That is
Ron
amazing.
Wolak, and Maggie at ZM Hair, very good. The uh, person at Custom Wig, um, the one girl that runs Custom Wig. I had her. I had probably one of her first Santa sets, and she was making them for theater. The difference is when she made my first set, she was not even in business. She was still teaching theater arts and makeup for at Louisville, Kentucky, University of Louisville, Kentucky. And so she took on the thing of I wrapped because you can actually get custom made stuff. You wrap your face with your head with plastic and you tape it and you draw your hairline on. So I'd send it all down. The first one I got back and I said, um, if I can count my fingers underneath the beard, it's too thin.
Right.
And I worked with her a while because she hadn't really done it. I said, you make beards for the theater and for opera and stuff. And I said, the closest person that sees someone on a stage is at least 20 feet. You got an orchestra pit, they're on the stage. I said, when you do something for Santa, that's got to look good right here. This is from here, it's got to pass muster.
Right.
So everything up close is important. If you see any opera stars, you can when you get close to them, they haven't cut the lace. Those lace lines here, and they put makeup over it. But when you're running a set like this, you trim the lace back. There's only like a finger's width of the lace that shows, and then as I said, if you have one of these older beards that's like hot edge, machine edge, you can do that same trick that I said with you can take loose hair and glue it above the lace line, and then it'll look like it's growing. But um, yeah, Custom Wig, Louisville, Kentucky, and Maggie at ZM here, and Ron Wolek. They're the only ones that I know that they're the only two in U.S. that are actually making stuff. The rest of the stuff is all made either in China, and the only one I trust in China now because I've tried a bunch of is ZM. I'm comfortable with them. There's a Swiss called Altelia Bassi. Beautiful stuff, real beautiful. Uh, I've owned two sets of theirs. I own two sets that belong from Custom Wake Human Hair Sets. I've got maybe I don't know 8 or 10 of ZMs, different styles. They make a ton of styles. So you can get in any style you want, or you can buy one unstyled. And if you wanted to have me, I can cut them and kind of mimic the fellow. I don't know what his name. It was a guy, big guy, and he had a set and he said, I can't get this. And no, I said, I know what you have. They don't make it anymore. The companies have gone out of business. Ideal Wig was a big maker of them. Zotta Brothers. All of the ones that made them in the United States are gone, with the exception of Ron Wolak
Hmm.
and Custom Wig. And they're still making them. But everybody else is some kind of Chinese thing. Just one
Right.
word of warning. When you look on Etsy, and you see these beautiful Santa sets, and they seem low priced than what you expect and everything. First of all, the pictures are not what you're going to get. Second of all, I just had one in last season, and they bought it off Etsy, and it was on a lace product, but the hair instead of being punched was I believe uh, adhered with some kind of adhesive to the lace. It was not sewn in.
Hmm.
And as I started with the mustache. I always do, and I started to clean the mustache, and the hair's like floating away, and I've got a piece of lace. And I said, "Where'd you get this?" "Oh, I got it off the internet. It was only $250." I said, "Well, that should have been a warning to you. Something that looks that nice, as long as you don't have to clean it, you're fine.
Right.
But as soon as you do it, The alcohol was just dissolving whatever they glued the hair to the piece with.
Right.
So
Well, and guys, somebody made the comment. They said I'm echoing, and I do. I just muted Santa Thomas. The reason why is because of the microphone issues we're having. We're aware of that. I appreciate you pointing that out. We do have another question here. Jeff wants to know, Santa Tom, what are the two whitening products did Santa TJS mention in the video that he loves? I believe it was Punky and was it Myron?
Punky White is with the spray. I think a lot of people might be familiar with it. But of all the sprays, and if you buy it 2 cans at a time, it's way cheaper. If you buy it off Amazon, right? If you buy 1 can, it's like $9. If you buy the two, it's like 14.
Right.
So and it gets everywhere. I take when you go and you get takeout food and you got the little black tray when you're done, whatever I'm spraying, I spray against that,
Right.
and I spray, and that's Punky White, and this stuff is good. It doesn't smell too bad. You can go directly on your beard. When I have done that in a hurry, I take painter's tape, the blue tape, and I run it down the side of my face, any place I don't want it to get, and I put a towel around my neck and I give it a little spray. And then I
Right.
take and then I take one of these things and I just comb it all through. And if
Okay.
it's at all wet, I hit it with a hairdryer,
Yeah.
But the Punky White. The other thing that I use, which is a whitening shampoo conditioner, it's called Ceracolor, Keracolor conditioner. And Sally sells this. This is the only thing I've seen it in, and you got to get the platinum one because they I'm trying to get it. Yeah, Ceracolor. I use this every other day, and it my beard hasn't fallen out. It keeps it nice and bright. I mean, even people with gray hair, with your gray hair, after a couple of days, it starts to look a little dingy. Stuff's pretty good. And as I said, I'm using it on myself for over a year, or more than a year, close to 2 years now. And this is available on Amazon. I think it's also available in Sally's. The other stuff that I like, and there are other purple shampoos. I like Shimmer Lights. I've been using this for a while, just as long as you use it in moderation.
Right.
And that's pretty much it. The other thing I want to mention, and I don't have any experience with it yet, but they have and a friend of mine who does taxidermy, but he didn't taxidermy me. He suggested that, and I've seen it another way, and this is one of these little spray guns, and you can spray color. And now they do the same guy that took over the place that's selling this, the Pro Nose. They sell this. It's like $60, and I haven't got to do it yet. I got it at the end of the season, but you supposedly it uses, and you can use. This isn't bad either. The Miron isn't bad. Punky White's 20 times better. And you're going to be mixing this, and you spray it with this thing. Once I figure out how to do that, he's going to come over and show me, and then he promised he wouldn't taxidermy me when he shows me how to use that.
Well, Santa Wayne mentioned the legendary Leon McBride. I'm not sure if that's the picture that was made.
Right, is the guy. This is Leon McBride. He was a Ringling Brothers. I'd met him a bunch of times. He was at different things I'd been to. Great big tall fellow. He was a clown at Ringling Brothers Clown. He owned this Proface. He unfortunately passed away last year. And a guy named Louis from somewhere, I want to say he's in the Carolinas or close to Florida, bought out the company. It's still there. So Proface is still around. And they sell Clown Surprise, but they also have a number of Santa products that you can buy through them. But this makeup kit, everything you need is on it. It comes with the sponges and the right color makeup, and they got a little video on how to do it. Their eyebrow stuff, I've never seen anything as good as this, because this doesn't scream. And I can just warn you, if someone's been doing it a long time, they used to sell these tongue depressors that were dipped in some kind of white clown paint. And you might think they're okay. You put them and you go like this, and you think they look. Then you look at the pictures and you go, "Good Lord, this is it." The whole trick anyway. If you're going to whiten your eyebrows, is take a Q-tip, dip it in alcohol. Once you're done, whatever you're whitening, and trace it all out and get anything that you got to get up close because you got to see if you get anything on it because you don't see it. But I'll tell you, as soon as the can, it'll go. Eh. The same thing with these plastic beards that they sell. Um, they're kind of fiber optic. So when the flash hits it, they're not the fiber is plastic. It's clear. It's clear. It's not white. The old Caniculon was a white synthetic hair, but the stuff now is a plastic material. And if you take a string of it out, it's clear. And it hits with the flash, and all of a sudden, it if they're too close, it just lights up. So, um, you know, we're all our own worst critics, and we're always critical when we see the photographs the next day. We go, "Oh shit," you know. We go, "Oh, I didn't see that." It's like you go there and then you did a whole day and you don't realize your belt was over here somewhere because you can't see it. You know. One thing I've been working with a couple of different, these photographers that use they have an iPad thing, and what's great about some of that, you can see what you look like before they hit the shot. So you can see if your belt's up over here, or there's something sticking out or whatever. I mean, we're our own worst critics.
That that is something else. Well, I got to ask you. We've got about 8 minutes left, Santa Thomas, and I want to ask you. You've been doing this for over 40 years. I started following you when I saw you and listening to you on the Worldwide Santa Claus Network for 40 years. What has kept you, your enthusiasm, and the love of being a professional Santa Claus? What per se keeps you going in what you do?
Well, right. It's been year round for me because year round, I have guys sending me this. As a matter of fact, one came in yesterday. The people at the post office, when I bring something in, they go, "We know there's no batteries of perfume, right?" Because they know what I'm sending out. But I do the beard work all year long, and I experiment all year long, and because I had to, because I could not grow a beard for the near 40 years that I was in the uniform. So I'm involved with it. I'm involved in different Santa groups. I mean, um, that's taken recently, and that's with a combination of my beard and a ZM set. You know, I'm a little heavier there.
Well, that looks wonderful. I'm gonna tell you, I have absolutely enjoyed this. I really want people to understand that there is healthy alternatives out there versus. And again, I know I reached out to somebody that I respect very much in the bearded community and is pretty well known. And I talked to him about doing a video on bleaching, and in fact, even talked about having a professional come in to teach the proper way to do it. Then I got to thinking to myself, this to me is one of the great opportunities and a way that people, an alternative, if you would say, of doing that rather than, because the bleaching, I've just heard so many people that after years of bleaching their hair stops growing. It does a lot of damage to the skin. Again, I know guys are going to do it, and I'm not knocking the guys that do it, but really think about some alternatives if you can. Not knocking you, but you know how I am. I'm real big about the beard health and the skin underneath. To me, your beard is just as important. Santa Thomas is sharing how much of an investment it is to buy a designer beard. To me, your beard is just as important as a professional Santa Claus as your suit, your boots, your belts. Anything else that you purchase is just as much as an investment. So take care of what you got. But this is such a great alternative to some other damage you would, because as Santas we put our beards through a lot. Unless you just have a like a Santa Derek Dugan beard where it's just this perfect snow white perfect beard, we have to put coloring in it. We have to do things that really damage the beard. So somebody did ask a question in the chat earlier. um, is does that punky spray make your beard crunchy or so? What I do, and I've done videos on it, what I do when I spray it in is I will comb it out after it dries, and it really fluffs it up and does a lot. You do have a question here from So Baker's asking, how do the beards fit over my current beard?
It depends. Now, I put I like I said I can put one on real quick. You know. Now I have a Edmund Gwynn beard, and at Christmas time I have like 2 inches more, and I curl it under. But in a fast move, I mean, I end up taking at least, depending on what the bit, I take at least at least this much of my own and work it in. Now you can you I always keep I like more face, so my hairline is really up here, so I keep this open anyway. I have the old wrinkled cheeks, so I keep that open. So as long as you got a little bit of skin where you can adhere either with some kind of an adhesive or the tape, hold it in. But these have straps. The other thing I want to just mention, I forgot to mention, if you're wearing a wig, okay, don't shove your glasses under the wig. You shove the glasses through the wig, or it'll lift the wig off your face. I see that all the time, and I should mention it. It's something to be available. But you see, these are lightweight. They don't make you heavy. And if you have a small beard, even a large, if you have a large beard like my friend here, you don't have to worry about that. But now you have alternatives. If you do, you're missing something, or you bleach and break stuff off. It ain't the end of the world. There's ways of cosmetically covering all that up, at least for your season.
Right. Well, I'm just absolutely amazed and honored that you have joined us on here today, Santa Thomas. I hope we can have you on again sometime. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on and sharing your knowledge and your 40 plus years of wisdom. Thank you for your service as a police officer and law enforcement. Uh, we do have one more question. What happens if a child tugs on it? He did go over this a little bit, but I will let him answer that.
They when you take one of these beards, okay, they do have significant straps in 'em. And when you have it on, right now, that's not glued. That's not. But when that's stuck to your face, you have to use the alcohol and a Q-tip to get it off. And if you have a little bit of your own, a kid wants to give it a pull, you say, "Go ahead, pull it right there, because that's me." I up and off with it. I say, they go, "Is that real?" I go, "Yeah, pull, pull. There you go." And I'll have, the augmented. I'm a hybrid, just like the cars, battery and gas. I'm a hybrid Santa.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today. I just want to thank Santa Thomas again for coming on. It's such an honor to be on the same stage as him. Guys, thank you so much for coming in. Tune in next Saturday where I'll be going over the last in the series of the taking care of proper care for Santa Beard. And I'm going to be going through the weekly routine that I do. And we'll touch on some stuff. But this has been such a great show. I appreciate it so much. Guys, until next week, remember that this world could use a little kindness. So be kind to one another. And as always, keep Christmas in your heart year round. Take care, guys.